Hello students, welcome to Biological Science digital class. Well students, in this today's chapter, we are going to coordination in life processes. Students, look at this picture. This is the picture showing human body. Human body is a wonderful machine, isn't it? It is a complicated structure than it appears. Though the human body appears to be very simple in the structural aspect, it is very complicated inbuilt. Did you ever imagine the complexity of human body? Different life processes in human being which you have studied in earlier chapters, like look at these pictures, the digestive system which you have studied in earlier chapters, which exclusively perform the process of digestion. And this is the picture showing the lungs, the respiratory system which performs exclusively the process of respiration. Students, this is the picture of heart, which is a chief pumping organ of blood circulatory system. You have studied about the structure of heart in transportation. This is the picture showing the kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder. You have studied about the process of excretion in the 4th chapter, excretion, the wastage disposing system. This is the picture showing the brain, the spinal cord, all the cranial nerves as well as peripheral nerves. So, this exclusively performs coordination in our body. This maintains in our body coordination among different organs and organ systems. And this is the picture showing both a skeletal system on one side and the muscular system on the other side, which you will be studying in your higher classes. So, by seeing all these pictures, previous chapters, you have studied them exclusively in isolation manner. But today, different organ systems which are inbuilt in our body at their specific places and carry out their specific functions in a coordinated manner. So, students, now in this part 1 we will be studying how one system is dependent on the other systems. So, taking human digestive system as an example, we will be studying how the coordination between the organ systems takes place. Every process is dependent on the other to keep the body in good condition. To understand this concept, we analyze how digestive system is coordinated with other systems as example. We shall study the digestive system from feeling hungry to utilization of food, that is converting the nutrients into energy, illustrating the interconnected process going on in our body. So, if you look at this, so the digestive system all starts from taking food. So, before we take food, actually we must feel the hungry. So, from feeling hungry to utilization of the food. So, the food is consumed by us, it gets digested by the digestive juices, the absorption takes place and the nutrients are carried to all the cells utilize the food in the presence of oxygen and thereby the release of energy takes place. So, the purpose of digestive system is served. So, from feeling hungry to utilization of food, there are several stages or several phases. So, in this part 1 we will be studying each stage, where we will be discussing how the coordination between different organ systems takes place. Students, look at this picture showing the human digestive system, exclusively the alimentary canal. So, this is the picture showing the alimentary canal of human being, which you have studied in the chapter nutrition. Let us recall the parts of alimentary canal one by one. So, this is mouth, the anterior most opening of the alimentary canal, which is meant for ingestion, intake of food, which leads into the buccal cavity. So, this is the buccal cavity, which leads into a short chamber called pharynx. So, mouth leading into buccal cavity, leading into pharynx, and pharynx further leads into a long straight muscular tube called esophagus, which is also commonly called as food pipe. So, now this esophagus enters into abdominal cavity passing through the diaphragm and leads into a pouch like or a bag like or a sac like structure called stomach. So, this is a pouch like structure called stomach. Now, this stomach leads into a long highly coiled tube called small intestine. There will be different parts again in the small intestine. Now, this small intestine again opens into a bit larger tube like structure called large intestine. So, this green colored tube is called as large intestine. Again there are different parts in the large intestine, and finally the large intestine opens out through another aperture which is called anus. So, the anus is the posterior most opening of the alimentary canal. So, in the nutrition chapter, students, you have gone through each and every part of alimentary canal performing its own specific function, isn't it? Now, let us discuss how these organs work along with other systems in a coordinated manner. So, we start from feeling hungry. Students, how do we know that we need food? Now, let us observe the options that you think makes you feel hungry by doing the activity 1. See here, there are some options were given: the smell of food, the taste of food, the sight of food. So, if you see this picture, a lady smelling the smell of a food, a dish. So, of these 3 options, which stimulates your hunger? There are some other options: being tired and exhausted, a need of food, or sometimes thought of food. So, among these options, which stimulates your hunger or which motivates you to consume food? So, if you look at this picture, a person who has done so much physical exercise and his body is exhausted, he lost his energy completely. So, of these options, which makes you to consume food, which stimulates your hunger? So, it depends upon the situation, it depends upon the body's requirement. So, sometimes the smell of food may stimulate our hunger, sometimes the thought of food, sometimes the taste of food. So, depending on the situations, so these options stimulates our hunger. Then what would be the result of stimulation of hunger? So, students, whenever you feel hungry, so what shall you do? You simply take some food, isn't it? So, let us see what actually occurs behind a feeling hungry. So, the major cause for feeling hungry lies in the physiology of blood circulation. So, our blood maintains different substances in different levels. Among them, the blood glucose is an important substance that is maintained in the blood. So, when this blood glucose levels falls than the normal levels, so immediately hunger pangs are stimulated in the stomach. What are these hunger pangs? Hunger pangs are nothing but the gastric movements or the contractions that occur in the wall of the stomach. So, whenever the blood glucose levels decrease in our blood, so immediately hunger pangs are initiated or stimulated in the stomach. So, it is a sign of feeling hungry. It is a sign of feeling hungry. Now, let us see the mechanism behind the feeling hungry with the help of a block diagram. So, the blood glucose level falls. So, immediately what happens? By certain special cells that are present in the wall of the stomach, a special protein hormone is secreted, which is called as ghrelin. So, this ghrelin hormone initiates the contractions of the muscles that are present in the wall of the stomach, which are called as hunger pangs. So, when these hunger pangs are initiated in the stomach, from here signals reach the brain from the stomach to the forebrain, the part of the human brain called diencephalon. So, when this diencephalon receives the signals from the stomach with the help of vagus nerve, so immediately it stimulates us or it motivates us to consume food. So, this is the process behind feeling hungry and consuming food. Okay, students. Now, behind this mechanism, what systems are involved? So, see here, if you see the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, which comprises of diencephalon, is involved, and as well as the vagus nerve. This is the cranial nerve that emerges from the brain. So, the diencephalon, which is part of central nervous system, the vagus nerve, which is part of peripheral nervous system, are involved in controlling the hunger pangs. Now, we came to know about the ghrelin hormone, which stimulates the hunger pangs. Now, students, after consuming food, if your stomach is filled with food and if you do not require any food, you are satisfied your hunger. Now, another hormone is secreted in the stomach by certain cells called leptin. So, leptin is the hormone which suppresses hunger pangs. So, ghrelin is the hormone which stimulates hunger pangs, whereas leptin is the hormone which suppresses hunger pangs, which means your hunger is satisfied. You do not require food anymore. So, this is how these two hormones, the feeling hungry and the outcome sensation of hunger is consuming food. So, this is all controlled by the nervous system and as well as the hormonal system, the brain, the nerves, and the two hormones ghrelin and leptin are involved in creating the feeling hungry and motivating us to consume the food. Now, students, taste and smell are closely related, isn't it? Now, let us see how sense of smell affects the taste of food and what plays a major role to identify stale food. So, students, you are feeling hungry, now you are about to eat. If any stale food is provided to you or some spoiled food is provided to you, so what shall you do? You outrightly reject the spoiled food. Of the spoiled food emitting a bad odor, a bad smell. So, the bad smell coming from the spoiled food makes you to reject the food even though you are feeling very hungry. So, what happens in this case? So, your nose is involved in rejecting the stale food. So, there is a close relationship between the taste of food and the smell of food. If at all the smell of food is not really good enough, then we do not find the food very tasty. So, students, you might have experienced this when we are suffering from severe cold and cough. So, when you are suffering from cold, the nasal blockage takes place and we unable to sense the different smells of even food items. So, at that time when we are consuming the food, what is our experience? We do not find the food materials very tasty, because as we lose the sense of smell, so while eating the food we lose interest because of no taste. So, by this we can conclude that taste and smell are very much closely related with one another. Definitely the smell of food will affect the taste of food. If the smell of the food is really good enough, it definitely enhances the taste of food. So, let us know this by doing the activity 2. Now, by doing the following activity, let us observe how taste is affected by the smell. Let us do the following activity 2. For doing this activity 2, the materials required are jeera seeds, som seeds, apple and potato. Students, first close your nose with your fingers like this. Then take some jeera, pop in your mouth, chew it for some time. After some time, take 𝗬 seeds into your mouth and chew it for some time. Students, after chewing the jeera, if you chew the 𝗬 seeds, could you recognize the taste? How long it has taken to recognize the taste of 𝗬 seeds? After some time, wash your mouth and repeat the activity by chewing some piece of apple. Later, eat some piece of potato. How long it has taken to recognize the taste of potato after chewing the apple? So students, after doing this activity, so what is our observation? So after eating jeera seeds, while doing this activity, make sure that you close your eyes and as well as your nose. So if you don't get the smell from both jeera seeds and as well as 𝗬 seeds, you cannot distinguish the difference in the taste between jeera seeds and 𝗬 seeds. Similarly, the texture of potato and apple appears to be very same when you keep a piece of potato or apple in your mouth. Unless you get smell or unless you crush the piece of apple, then only you can identify or recognize the taste between the apple and the potato. Students, could you know the taste of both or did it taste the same? Why? So make your own observations. How do we smell? In our nose, we got olfactory epithelium, which consists of olfactory receptors or chemoreceptors, which are involved in sending the signals from the nose to the brain, where the information is analyzed and then we able to recognize the smell of different items or smell of different chemicals. Students, look at these pictures. Coming to the sense of taste, as you studied in your 9th class regarding the sense organs, so there is a sense organ called tongue. Sense of taste, you have studied about different types of papillae which are present on the surface of the tongue. So see, if you closely observe the surface of the tongue, it has got its characteristic rough appearance due to the presence of numerous taste buds. And see here in this picture, we shall see a different papillae: circumvallate papillae, fungiform papillae, a filiform papillae and foliate papillae. These papillae contains taste buds which sends signals regarding the chemicals of food items that we eat during the process of mastication. These signals are sent to brain, where the information is analyzed, and because of the brain we able to recognize the taste. So 4 types of papillae. So small protuberances present on the upper surface of the tongue that gives its characteristic rough texture. Students, look at this picture which shows the anatomy of a taste bud. So this is the tongue. So these are the pits. So this is the taste bud consisting of taste sensitive cells, and these are the nerve fibers which used to form a nerve that sends signals to the brain. So these taste buds are responsible in triggering or in sending signals to the brain, where the information is processed and we able to recognize the taste. Students, after doing activity 2, we clearly understand the relationship between the taste and smell. Now let us do one more activity, that is activity 3. Take a pinch of 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 powder or garlic, rub it on handkerchief or tissue paper, close your eyes and smell it. Now try to identify different types of food materials with the help of your friend. Make a observation table each time you smell a different food item. Look at this picture. So Ivan Pavlov, you have studied about this scientist. He is a Russian scientist. You have studied about this scientist in your 9th class in the animal behavior. So he performed an experiment on dog and proved that even the thought of food will water your mouth. So he performed an experiment on dog. So, this is a classical example for conditioned reflexes. So, even the mere thought of food will water your mouth. Students, now let us try to correlate the nose and the tongue. So, the nose, which consists of olfactory receptors, whereas the tongue consists of taste buds. So, both of them sends signals to the brain where the information is analyzed, and then the smell is detected and the food tastes are identified. Is it possible to taste the different food items on dry tongue? Let us do one more activity, activity 4, sugar crystals over tongue. So, taste is something connected to the tongue and the palate. Students, look at this picture. This is the picture showing the mouth. So, this is the upper jaw consisting the upper teeth, the lower jaw consisting the lower teeth, and the roof of the buccal cavity, a partition that separates upper nasal chambers with that of lower oral chamber. So, that is the roof of the oral cavity is called as palate. In its anterior most part, it is hard in nature, called as hard palate. In its posterior most part, it is very soft in nature, hence called soft palate. So, here this hard palate separates the upper nasal chambers from the oral chamber. This hard palate plays an important role in recognizing the taste of different food items while chewing. Let us know the role of hard palate by doing the activity 4, sugar crystals over tongue. In this activity, first take some sugar crystals, place on your tongue, and make sure that you do not close your mouth and do not touch anything. Record the time from the moment you place the sugar crystals on the tongue till you got the taste by using a stopwatch. So, students, in this instance, it took around 8 seconds for me to got the sweetness of the sugar taste. Now, repeat the same activity by keeping sugar crystals on your tongue, and this time pressing it against the palate. Record the time from the moment you place the sugar crystals and till you got the taste by using stopwatch. So, students, this time it took around 3 seconds for me to got the taste. You can also repeat this activity by placing a drop of sugar solution on your tongue and record the time from the moment you put the drop of sugar solution on the tongue using stopwatch. Students, which way help you taste faster? When the sugar crystals are placed over the tongue and without touching anything in the mouth, it takes a time to get dissolved in the saliva. Whereas, in the second instance, when you press the sugar crystals against the palate, so the crushing of the sugar crystals takes place, it becomes very easy for them to dissolve in the saliva, and it becomes very quick in identifying the taste of the sugar crystals. So, when you press against the palate, what does the palate do? It pushes the chemicals into the taste buds, and the taste buds sends signals to the brain, and immediately we able to recognize. So, this is how the palate is involved in identifying the taste of different food items. One important point is that on dry tongue we cannot identify the taste because the food items must dissolve in the saliva. Unless they are dissolved only in the soluble state, the food items, their taste is identified or recognized. So, nose is involved in identifying the taste with the help of olfactory receptors. The mouth is involved in identifying the taste with the help of salivary glands. So, we got 3 pairs of salivary glands which stimulate during the process of mastication and secrete the saliva. The tongue is also involved in the identification of taste as it contains taste buds. So, all these 3, nose, mouth, tongue, are involved in sending signals to the brain where the information is analyzed or processed, then we able to taste. So, this is how these three are involved in identifying the taste. The mouth, the munching machine. Look at this picture. So, the mouth is the anterior most opening which is meant to take food, that is ingestion of food. So, the mouth contains different parts, the teeth, tongue, palate, all these are involved in the process of mastication. And during the mastication, what happens to the food? The food is crushed into tiny pieces, and meanwhile the salivary glands secrete saliva, and during the process of chewing, the tongue helps in lubricating the food and moistens the food. So, let us know the significance of munching or mastication in the process of digestion by doing this activity. The materials required are a piece of chalk which are broken into longer pieces, a crushed chalk piece, vinegar and 2 glass beakers. The vinegar is taken into 2 glass beakers, of which into 1 glass beaker I am taking the piece of chalk. Into another glass beaker in which the vinegar is taken, I am taking this crushed chalk piece into this beaker. Let us wait for half an hour. Students, of these 2 beakers, which one dissolved faster? The one with longer chalk pieces or the one with crushed chalk? So, it becomes very easy for the vinegar to dissolve the crushed chalk as the surface area is greatly increased or enhanced such that it becomes very easy for the vinegar to dissolve the crushed chalk faster than the larger chalk pieces. So, how does this process mechanical crushing go on in the mouth? Students, can you answer this? Which parts in our mouth are involved in crushing the food into tiny pieces? Yes, the teeth, tongue and the palate are involved in breaking the food into tiny pieces. What are the systems involved in this process? So, the systems, nervous system, the digestive system, the muscular system, all these are involved in the process of munching or mastication, because during mastication what happens? The cheeks, the jawbones are supplied with nerve endings. These send signals to the brain, and in turn brain gives signals to the salivary glands, and thus the salivary glands secrete saliva, and the saliva is thoroughly mixed with the food that is chewed in the oral cavity. Now, the above experiment tells us the need of mechanical crushing of food. So, it is very important for us to thoroughly chew the food to increase the effectiveness of the digestion. If the food is not thoroughly chewed, what happens? It leads to improper digestion, as the effectiveness of digestive juices over food is decreased. Hence, the food in the mouth has to be broken down into tiny pieces to increase the surface area of substances that aid in digestion. Students, we have discussed some important things in this part 1. Let us see them. What are hunger pangs? Ghrelin, a protein hormone, leptin, another protein hormone, the close relationship between taste and smell, and how tongue is connected with the palate in identifying the taste, the interdependence of digestive system, the muscular system and the nervous system. Students, for your assessment, there are some questions given for you to practice at home. Improve your learning. What do you mean by hunger pangs? Give reasons. If we press tongue against the palate, we can recognize taste easily. If glucose levels falls in blood, we feel hungry. What are the organ systems involved in digestion of food which we eat? Rafi said smell also increases our appetite. Can you support this statement? How? How can you say that the mouth is a munching machine? Students, for better understanding of the concepts, practice the worksheets, download the worksheets from the SCERT website. Thank you. Students, let us meet in another session and discuss the part 2 of coordination in life processes.